Deep beneath the frost line, while the rest of your garden lies dead and rotting under the winter snow, something is wide awake. If you were to walk into a modern supermarket today, you would see a sea of orange carrots, perfect potatoes, and plastic-wrapped herbs. You are trained to buy your vegetables in one aisle and your spices in another. You are trained to pay twice for what nature intended to be one single perfect organism. But if you step away from the fluorescent lights and dig into the frozen earth of the old world, you will find a root that breaks every rule of modern commerce. It looks like a parsnip, it smells like celery, it tastes like a blend of nuts, earth, and pure winter sweetness. This is not a carrot, it is not a garnish, this is the Hamburg parsley. For centuries, it was the ultimate survival crop, a plant that gives you leafy greens all summer and a calorie-dense root all winter. It is a dual-purpose biological machine that defies the cold. Yet you cannot find it on the shelves of Walmart or Tesco. It has been exiled, erased by a food system that prioritizes shelf life over survival. Why did they hide the winter king? And more importantly, how can you bring it back to your soil before the next freeze comes? Welcome to ancestral soil. To understand what we have lost, we must open the archive and travel back to a time before industrial farming corrupted our palate. The year is 1806. We are standing in the vegetable gardens of Monticello, Virginia, the estate of Thomas Jefferson. The third president of the United States was not just a politician, he was a master gardener, obsessed with food independence. In his meticulous garden books, he listed a plant he called turnip-rooted parsley. He didn't plant it for decoration, he planted it because he understood true flavor. But the story goes back even further, deep into the 16th century, in the cold, damp heart of Northern Europe. In the markets of Germany and Holland, this root was legendary. They called it Hamburg parsley, not necessarily because it originated in the city of Hamburg, but because that was the trading hub where the finest roots were sold. For the German peasantry and the Dutch farmers, this plant was a miracle of efficiency. Think about the logic of an ancestor living without electricity or refrigeration. Why would you waste precious land growing parsley just for the leaves and carrots just for the roots when you could grow Petroselinum crispum tuberosum? This was the two-in-one solution. Above the ground, it offered a rugged, flat-leafed canopy that could season stews and cure ailments. Below the ground, it developed a thick, beige taproot that could sit in the soil through the harshest blizzards without rotting. In fact, the freezing temperatures didn't kill it. They transformed it, turning its starches into sugars, making it sweeter while the rest of the world starved. It was the backbone of the winter soup. It was the secret weapon against the monotony of a diet limited to bread and potatoes. It was respected. It was essential. So how did a plant that was good enough for Thomas Jefferson and vital enough for a continent of farmers simply vanish from our collective memory? The answer lies in a color, an illusion that changed the history of agriculture forever. The answer lies in a color. For thousands of years, carrots were purple, white, or yellow. They were bitter, woody, and wild. But in the 17th century, Dutch growers began a genetic experiment that would change the world. To honor the House of Orange, the Dutch royal family, they selectively bred a carrot that was bright, vibrant orange. It was a patriotic statement, but it became an agricultural tyranny. The orange carrot had two things that the industrial machine loved: high sugar content and visual uniformity. It was the candy of the vegetable world. Meanwhile, the humble Hamburg parsley remained stubborn. It refused to be simple. Its skin was rough and beige. It looked confusingly similar to a parsnip, yet it tasted entirely different. To the emerging supermarket culture, confusion is a sin. If a customer has to ask, "What is this?" the product dies. But the real reason this root was erased is even more cynical. It is about logistics. Remember, Hamburg parsley is a double-duty crop. It provides lush, green leaves attached to the root. But in a globalized supply chain, fresh greens are a nightmare. They wilt, they rot, they require humidity. Roots, on the other hand, require dryness. The industry looked at Hamburg parsley and saw a logistical problem. They couldn't ship it across oceans without the greens turning into slime. So they made a decision. They split nature in half. They gave you the orange carrot, a root stripped of its dignity, bred for sugar and shelf life, and they gave you curly parsley, a leaf stripped of its sustenance, bred only for decoration. They forced you to buy two weak products instead of one strong organism. The Hamburg parsley wasn't lost because it was inferior. It was lost because it was too complex for a system designed for simplicity. It was the victim of the orange illusion. But nature does not care about market trends. Nature cares about survival. And this is where modern science vindicates the ancient farmers. While the orange carrot is essentially a stick of water and sugar, the Hamburg parsley is a biological fortress. Laboratory analysis reveals what our ancestors knew by instinct. This root is packed with 3 to 4 times the vitamin C of a standard carrot. It is a dense source of iron and protein. But its true power lies in its chemistry. The root contains high concentrations of volatile oils, specifically apiol and myristicin. These are not just flavor compounds, they are functional medicine. In a survival situation where a diet relies heavily on dry grains or preserved meats, your kidneys and digestion take a heavy beating. These oils act as a diuretic and a carminative. They keep the body's filtration system running when water is scarce. And then there's the phenomenon of cold sweetening. If you leave a potato in freezing soil, the water inside its cells will expand, crystallize, and shatter the cell walls. The potato turns to mush. It dies. Hamburg parsley has a different strategy. As the temperature drops below freezing, the plant detects the threat. It triggers an enzymatic reaction that rapidly converts its starches into sugars. In the world of physics, sugar water freezes at a much lower temperature than plain water. The plant essentially creates its own antifreeze. This means the colder the winter, the sweeter and more tender the root becomes. It doesn't just survive the ice, it uses the ice to perfect itself. Yale researchers and agricultural scientists are now looking back at these old-world genetics, realizing that food security isn't about high-tech greenhouses, it's about plants that know how to fight the cold on their own terms.
Knowing the truth is only the first step. Planting it is the revolution. So, how do you reclaim the Winter King? How do you bring Hamburg parsley back from exile and into your soil? You must understand that this plant is not a product of the instant gratification culture. It is a teacher of patience. The seed of the Hamburg parsley is a gatekeeper. When you sow it in the spring, it will not burst forth in days like a radish or a bean. It sleeps. It waits. It can take 3, sometimes 4 weeks to emerge. Many modern gardeners give up. They think the seed is dead. They till the soil and plant something faster. Do not make that mistake. Keep the soil moist. Wait for it. This is the plant testing your resolve. Give it deep, loose soil, free of stones, so its root can drive straight down into the earth's crust. And once it establishes itself, you have unlocked a perpetual food supply. Throughout the summer and autumn, treat it like an herb garden. Harvest the outer leaves for your soups and salads. The plant is generous. It will grow new greens to replace them. You are eating the interest, while the principal capital, the root, grows larger and stronger underground. And then, when the frost comes, do not rush to harvest. Let the snow fall. Let the ground freeze. While your neighbors are fighting through crowded supermarket aisles to buy vegetables shipped from halfway across the world, you can simply walk out to your garden. With a spade in hand, you break the crust of the snow, dig down, and pull up a root that is fresh, crisp, and sweeter than anything money can buy.
You are not just harvesting a calorie source, you are harvesting history. You are tasting the same flavor that Thomas Jefferson tasted at Monticello. You are holding the same survival insurance that kept European peasants alive through the Little Ice Age. The industrial food system wanted to erase this root because it didn't fit their business model. They wanted you to forget, but the soil remembers. It is time to stop buying the illusion of freshness. It is time to grow the reality of survival. The Winter King has returned. The question is your soil ready for it? This is ancestral soil.